An errant log on a busy highway. A song forecasts a teenager's doom at a drive-thru. Eye surgery sends a woman plummeting 5 stories. How do these Final Destination deaths rank? The Final Destination formula of individuals having premonitions of impending disasters and saving the lives of those who would have otherwise died became well established by its second entry. In Final Destination 2, our protagonist Kimberly has a vision of a terrible pileup on the highway incited by an errant log truck. Director David Ellis expanded on the original movie's premise for what is arguably the most famous and resonant death scene in the franchise. The original entry's iconic plane crash manages to scare, but it doesn't yield the same everyday impact that this pileup does. It's a terrifying scene that ensures drivers everywhere will change lanes should they find themselves behind a log truck. While Final Destination 3 shifted the trajectory of a somewhat grounded series into more improbable territory, it also features the series' most dour tone. Stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ryan Merriman sell the existential terror exceptionally well, while Merriman's Kevin desperately tries to convince Winstead's Wendy that her premonition of a roller coaster accident wasn't simply a fluke. The supporting characters Ashley and Ashlyn are getting a quick bronze in before graduation. They dismiss every rule of the salon, from changing the thermostat to bringing drinks inside the tanning rooms. Circuits short out, a shelving unit falls, and both Ashlyn and Ashley are burned alive in their beds. Full of gallows humor, A Death by Tanning Salon effectively encapsulated how perversely playful the series was becoming. As the Final Destination series developed, it occasionally abandoned its slow-mounting terror for shocking, quick deaths. In contrast, the first post-premonition death in Stephen Quayle's Final Destination 5 is a masterclass in suffocating unease. Gymnast Candace is practicing in possibly the most dangerous gym in Canada. The air conditioning is broken, there are loose screws on the floor, and frayed wires spark as water trails from an expanding puddle. Alfred Hitchcock defines suspense as an audience knowing more than the characters, and we pick up on every grisly cue that Candace remains unaware of. After a series of mishaps, Candace's focus is broken as she flips on the bars, her entire body ending up completely fractured. It's an unexpected, gruesome sight after minutes of white-knuckle suspense, proving that even 5th entries can subvert expectations well. Schoolteacher Miss Luton has had it with the survivors of the first film's Flight 180. After 2 of her students die in inexplicable accidents, she decides it's high time to leave town. One night, she pours herself a drink and starts packing up her house. We follow Miss Luton through her home, cluing the audience into all the different ways she'll meet death. Her mug is dripping, her computer is sparking, and director James Wong keeps returning to the knife block precariously placed on her kitchen counter. Eventually, Miss Luton's computer explodes, glass impaling her neck, and as she races to the kitchen, a trail of spilled vodka catches fire and causes an explosion, knocking her to the floor. As she grabs at a towel, the entire block tumbles down, impaling her. The scene's creativity and paralyzing tension exemplify the grisly craftsmanship that helped Final Destination stand out among a crowded slasher landscape. Surprise deaths in the Final Destination franchise are par for the course, starting with the sudden demise of Amanda Detmer's Terry in the first film. A little over a month after the Flight 180 crash, Chad Danella's Todd dies in his bathtub. Friends Alex and Clear are working it out at a street-side cafe when they're accosted by fellow survivor Carter. However, his girlfriend Terry has had it with their bickering and decides to step away.
Then you can just drop dead.
This genuinely shocking moment was so effective that the franchise has tried to replicate it ever since. No one is safe anywhere, and death can come at any moment. More than just a galvanizing moment for the main characters, it arguably energized the series overall. As we mentioned, before Terry, there was Todd. Todd sits down to use the bathroom, and unbeknownst to him, the tank begins to drip. Blue toilet water glides across the floor, and as Todd pulls laundry from a clothesline over the tub, he slips in the puddle. As he falls into the tub, the clothesline wraps around his throat, strangling him. While Todd is written off as a suicide, only Alex is convinced something more sinister is at play. Todd's death sums up the Final Destination series. There are red herrings, false scares, and everyday objects rendered homicidal. While it cheats somewhat with the dripping water, since the series often has death not interfering beyond what might naturally occur, it perfectly sets the stage for the horrors to come. Music has always played an instrumental role in the Final Destination series. In the first movie, John Denver's Rocky Mountain High is a grim sign of the heirs to come. In the 5th entry, Kansas's Dust in the Wind serves as a precursor to tragedy. Final Destination 3 is considerably more playful, using the Vogues' "turn around, look at me." As Kevin and Wendy leave a funeral service, they're in line at a drive-thru, discussing what to do next. Meanwhile, a driverless truck is barreling down the street towards them. As the Vogues come on the radio, both Kevin and Wendy realize what's happening. While Kevin manages to smash the windshield and jump with Wendy to safety at the last possible moment, the motor from Kevin's car is expelled toward the convertible in front of them. The victim is Frankie, who was another survivor of the roller coaster accident which opened the film. The perfect balance between sudden and protracted. It's an artful scene that plays out brilliantly. Having escaped death during the opening bridge disaster of the franchise's 5th installment, Olivia is tired of not being able to see. It's understandable given how, upon losing her glasses on the bridge in the first act, Olivia is shown to be all but blind.
I don't want to miss anything. You know, important.
Same reason I had it done myself.
As Final Destination doctors tend to do, her LASIK surgeon steps out of the room for just a moment, setting the stage for disaster. Of course, the machine malfunctions and injures Olivia's eye. Though she manages to escape and begs for help, Olivia slips on a teddy bear's loose eye and tumbles out the window. Eye trauma is always horrifying, though writer Eric Heiserer wisely subverts expectations. It represents the best impulse of Final Destination 5, its willingness to weave when audiences expect a bob. Just as Olivia's doctor left her strapped below a powerful laser without supervision, Final Destination 2's Tim has a dentist who gives him knockout gas before leaving the room to deal with a bird crashing through a window. As Tim starts to slip out of consciousness, a rubber fish on the mobile above his chair falls into his mouth, slowly slipping down his throat. The seemingly endless scene repeatedly cuts between the chaos in the office, while Tim suffocates just behind the door. While he's saved, once outside, Kimberly shouts for Tim to avoid the nearby pigeons. Not understanding, he rushes them, which distracts a crane operator, who accidentally drops a window pane from several stories up. Tim is crushed on the spot in a subversive, sudden, and admittedly graphic death. This is in no small part due to Tim being the franchise's youngest victim. Director David Ellis has the curious honor of helming arguably the best and worst entries in the Final Destination series. Simply titled The Final Destination, the fourth, and definitely not final entry, almost amounts to parody. The acting takes a severe hit. The deaths are mostly unimaginative, and the opening disaster at a raceway has laughably bad CGI. It can feel more like a video game cutscene than a $40 million movie. Determined to go bigger than its predecessors, the Final Destination features not just one, but two different large-scale disasters, the second of which takes place in an inexplicably explosive shopping mall. In the middle of the disaster, Lori finds herself trapped on a broken escalator. Her boyfriend Nick tries to save her, but Lori is unfortunately ground into nothing by the escalator's gears. Of course, it's just a premonition, and Nick successfully disrupts Death's plan when he stops the explosion. While the rest of the movie may be subpar, this scene remains a standout for its sheer relatability. Escalators are scary, looking more like human meat grinders than a reasonable means of transportation. The Final Destination doesn't have much, but it does have escalators. Elevators are the evil cousins of escalators. After her son is reduced to mush outside of the dentist's office, Nora meets up with the additional survivors to discuss their next steps. Kimberly warns them to be mindful of signs and subtle cues in their environment pointing to how they're likely to die, but Nora is next on the list. Though, on account of losing her son and her husband years before, she's content to die.
Officer Burke, I can't hear you. What?
What is it? What?
A man with hooks is gonna kill you.
As she leaves and takes the elevator down, another survivor spots shadows of a man with hooks and suspects it's a clue. Nora just so happens to be in the elevator with a man holding a crate of prosthetics and is quickly overwhelmed. While trying to flee, she winds up outside the elevator as the doors close, trapping her neck. As the elevator rises, she loses her head. It's a dark, unforgiving death. Anyone who spent their summers growing up at a community pool has heard the urban legend of the friend of a friend of a friend whose body was sucked down the industrial drain at the bottom. Unfortunately for Hunt, the Final Destination decides to make this come true. He's spending the day at the local pool, dismissive of his friend's warnings of his imminent death. After he loses a lucky coin, he dives into the deep end to retrieve it, unaware that the pool's drainage pipe has been activated and is trapped at the bottom. His friends race to save him, but they're ultimately too late. Hunt is disemboweled by the drain. It's a ridiculous death and looks pretty silly, but it does what the series does best. It taps into a common, misguided fear and exploits it for all it's worth. Final Destination 3 doesn't get nearly enough credit for being genuinely well written. None of the movies are bad, strictly speaking, but there's a self-aware flair to this entry's dialogue. Glenn Morgan and James Wong's script shines the most in the conversation between Wendy, Kevin, Ian, and Aaron at a home improvement store. Ian and Aaron are dismissive of Wendy and Kevin's warnings, referencing Murphy's Law, existential boredom, and other topics to poke a hole in Death's design. They raise questions the series often avoided, namely that avoiding the original disaster might have been, in some capacity, part of the design all along. After all, life is full of close encounters and unpredictable circumstances, so they're unwilling to buy into Wendy's theory. With several deaths already, it's a bit odd for them to be so dismissive, but it's a metafictional exercise that works wonderfully. Naturally, death does find them, and Aaron is impaled several times when falling into a nail gun. It's a grim end to a dynamite exchange. Final Destination 5 has a wallop of an ending. For most of the runtime, audiences were led to believe that it was a sequel to the fourth entry, yet just as Sam and Molly board their plane to Paris, they encounter a curious sight.
Come on, get on the
Yes, Final Destination 5 is a prequel. Clues are scattered throughout, but they're easy to miss on a first viewing. It's a high mark for the series, even if it's sad to see both Sam and Molly go, given how hard they worked dodging death throughout. Better still is the fate of Nathan. Nathan is at a memorial service for his coworker Roy, after having accidentally killed Roy at work and inheriting his remaining lifespan. However, as Nathan hears that Roy had an undiagnosed brain aneurysm that would have killed him soon anyway, the exploding plane's landing gear crashes through the bar roof and kills him. As of right now, it's the perfect send-off to the series, representing Final Destination's grim playfulness in the best way. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more SlashFilm videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.